It was a beautiful homecoming in Ann Arbor last Saturday. The Wolverines a 17-point lead at the half, and then the second half occurred. Anthony Bellino from X's and Bros Show. You see him every morning right here on BCSN. Joins us now. And Anthony, in that second half, Michigan's offense suddenly could not move the ball against a very stout Rutgers defense.
Yeah, not our granddad's Rutgers, right? I mean, this is a different Rutgers program under Greg Schiano, and this is why even when he left for his NFL stint, it was like we need to mandate that Greg Schiano go back to Rutgers to make that football program relevant again. He's a very good recruiter. He's a very good football coach, and he has Rutgers up and humming. They're a lot better, I think, than what their record would lead you to believe. That being said, the end of the day, it's still Rutgers. Michigan is, always has had and will always have more talent on the football field than Rutgers. Rutgers did a really good job of saying, hey, we're not going to allow Michigan to run up the middle. So let's stack 8, 9, 10, 300 people in the box. Let's dare them to pass. And that was the crazy thing about that second half. Michigan didn't pass. Like, they never even tried that aerial assault, if you will. And I think that that's where Michigan fans' frustration comes through, most usually on Twitter and whatnot, on the message boards and on the interweb, where people can vent as much as they'd like to. And that's because if Rutgers has 8 guys in the box, even if you were in 12 personnel with 1 running back and 2 tight ends, can we run some play action? Eric All has got the perfect physique to be a great tight end in the game of football, right? The perfect frame. Like, that's what, if you were going to mold a tight end, I want him to look like that, like a carbon copy of a George Kittle, of a TJ Hawkinson, of a Travis Kelce. Give me that big-bodied receiver to catch the ball over the middle, who can also, double up and get his hands on somebody on a run play. But we just didn't see that from Michigan. I thought Rutgers made the necessary adjustments. They controlled the football in the second half, and Michigan got lucky. Stagnant offense in that second half, up 17-3. That game should have been closer to like a 40-10 sort of final. 20-13 has me concerned, Mark.
Is there something to be said, though, about after winning 3 games easily, having to tough out and have a difficult victory? Are there lessons that Michigan can learn from that game and apply those moving forward?
It's always cliche, right? You're always going to learn more from a loss. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd rather learn from a win than learn from a loss, because you're not going to be able to just take that little learning lesson and move that hash mark from the loss column over to the win column. It just doesn't work like that. So for me, I'd much rather learn from a win. And I think this is a good test. I thought that Rutgers, what they did in the second half was that proverbial punch in the face. You're happy that it happened against Rutgers and not against Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. Those teams are going to have a little bit more firepower, where if you don't respond to those early punches, they're going to knock you out. We've seen that before. So for me, get this lesson, whatever it might be, not only from the players and the personnel on the field, but also for the coaching staff, in order to figure out what they need to do to improve, to be able to adjust on the fly. Whatever was working in the first half, odds are other teams are going to adjust. So how do you counter that? I don't feel like Michigan has countered. And I do think it is a good thing for them to get this early test. They're 4-0. They haven't trailed yet this season. It's the first time since 1973 that they've started a season 4-0 without even trailing in a football game. That'll be another very interesting test of the character and the mettle and the toughness of this team. What happens when you don't have a lead? How do you play from behind, where you force Cade McNamara to have to play catch up and the offense to have to pass the ball? These are all questions that are going to get answered at some point, because football is a very fickle game, Mark, and these things come back to bite you every once in a while.
Another question surrounding this team: how will they do on the road? First 4 games have all been at home, and that first road game will not be an easy test, as they will head up to Madison, Camp Randall, where the Badgers love to jump around. We'll see how Michigan can handle that type of adversity, playing against a very hostile environment against the Badgers.
Jump around, first off, one of the greatest traditions in all of college football. I don't know if you've seen what Oregon has done with playing shout. I think that's another great one. Like, hey, schools are picking it up now. They're getting a little creative. I like this. But Camp Randall is an amazing place. You can physically feel the building moving when everyone is jumping around there in the third quarter. This is huge. I like the fact that Michigan starts with 4 games at home. That's a really nice luxury to have when you're Michigan. But I don't think it doesn't test you enough as a football team. And that's what I'm really concerned about. Now, also, Wisconsin, we talked about 4-quarter football games, right? They go to Soldier Field last week. They're playing Notre Dame in a very tight game. They get outscored 31-3 in the fourth quarter alone. And really, Notre Dame's offense, it's not like they were killing them. It was Notre Dame's defense and the special teams that really made the biggest impact out there on the field. Wisconsin gets completely annihilated in that football game, all because they couldn't finish. How do they kind of respond and rally after coming off of a very emotional defeat like that? that against Notre Dame, neutral site game at Soldier Field. Everyone's all hyped up, taking this game off of campus. That's another rant for another day. I like Michigan's odds in this football game, but it's another one of those situations where is this the biggest win if Harbaugh can win it in the Harbaugh era, right? Until they win it, and then it no longer matters, right? So it's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't for the sake of television here. They have to win the game. It's going to be a good test, but they have to get after the Badger offense. Badgers haven't looked really great on offense all year long. I think that Michigan can exploit some things if they can get to the quarterback.
2001, the last time Michigan has won in Madison. Now, obviously, they don't play Wisconsin every year. They certainly don't play in Camp Randall every year, but it's been a long time. And that's something Jim Harbaugh is aware of, but I think you touched on an excellent point there. You're going to go into Camp Randall. You're going to play a Wisconsin offense that has been turnover prone, a Michigan defense that has been extremely stout all season. You know Michigan is just licking their chops thinking if we can force some turnovers, we can really crush this Badger team.
That's the thing. If you can pressure Mertz, he will throw the football. And whenever you have pressure on a quarterback, it forces them to do something, right? Whether it's throw, and anytime any quarterback is under duress, you're going to throw it, right? You got to get rid of the football or you take the sack. So what happens when you try to get rid of it? You throw it high, you throw it low, you throw it in front, or you throw it behind. And inaccurate passes lead to tip balls. If you can hit the quarterback, you start to get in that, you start to win that kind of mental warfare, if you will, behind the line of scrimmage. I like the fact that you mentioned 2001, Hayden Epstein. I mean, we all remember what a great kicker he was. But then you remember the last time they were at Camp Randall. I mean, my goodness, like I wouldn't want to go back. I'd be afraid to get on the plane. So they're going, like, this is a really good test, not only for this Michigan team this week, but I think also for a cultural like precedence, if you will. Go on the road, beat Wisconsin, right? Their backs are already against the wall. They know that everything is on the line. You're Michigan, you're undefeated. Everything is on the line for you right now as well. This is a monumental football game in Madison. This game this weekend is what college football is all about.
When Jim Harbaugh was asked about this Wisconsin team, he kept on coming back to one word: stout. We know what Wisconsin Badger football is all about. It's about big, cheese-eating linemen that can control the line of scrimmage. But I think Michigan's got a lot of guys that can do that. So I think this is going to be a game in the trenches, and I think this is going to be a classic old-school Big Ten matchup.
I mean, I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny the cheese eating. That seems like eating too much of that. You might have some problems, but hey, you know, if it's
as long as you're not lactose intolerant, you're good to go.
Might add a little weight. I don't know. But look, if this is an old school football game, that's what Michigan has been basically playing through the first 4 weeks. So they've gotten practice, but how does that practice measure up against Wisconsin's front? A couple years ago, when they were in Ann Arbor, I was on the field, and I'm telling you, Mark, that Wisconsin offensive line, that was the biggest offensive line in college football. It was bigger than some NFL offensive lines. And when I tell you those kids were massive, I can't even call them kids. They were grown men. If they put their hands on me, I would have been in trouble, Mark. I would have had to call for emergency assistance immediately. This is the kind of game tested in the trenches. Who's going to block Aiden Hutchinson? How does he perform against an offensive line that's talked about historically every single year? Is he able to shed a few blockers and continue to make the plays? How's Ross at that second level at the linebacker position? So I think that there are some definite key playmakers on this defense. They have them at every level too. They've got guys in the secondary who can make a play as well. They're going to need their stars to shine on Saturday.
Michigan, Wisconsin, the big game, the noon kickoff coming up on Saturday. Anthony Bellino from X's and Bros, thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much, Mark. Appreciate it.